Yo, MBA Joshua here, and here's a question I have for you. Do you work in a toxic workplace? And if you are not sure, here are 3 signs for determining if indeed you do. Now, first off, if I say toxic workplace, the vision I think that most people have is of something that's like obviously crappy. Like you look at it and it's obviously terrible. But in my experience and what I've observed, you're more likely to find these places with brightly colored interiors and collaborative workspaces and lots of natural light and maybe free meals. So if you're sitting there and you're debating whether there's something wrong with you because you feel like there's something wrong with the environment you're in and that you think you should be happy, but you're not, let's get into that. Okay, so first off, the number one sign that you're working in a toxic workplace, you have become extremely paranoid and are behaving like a private investigator. You are trying to glean information about things. You are looking at calendars to see what meetings are going on. You are kind of always reading anything that you see in the printer when you come across it. And the important distinction is that you've never behaved like this before. You've never particularly cared what anybody was in a meeting about. You've never particularly cared about the hiring practices of the place that you work. In general, you've had very much live and let live kind of vibe. But now you find yourself investigating things and developing theories about what's going on. That's a huge red flag. And what you're probably saying to yourself as you're doing these things that seem distasteful to you and maybe seem kind of out of pocket for your personality or your ethics, that's a huge sign that you're working in a toxic workplace. Number 2, you're noticing other people's personalities changing. So there's this thing, if you ever read a questionnaire for like, is your loved one in a destructive cult? One of the questions is always, have they lost their sense of humor? And one of the things that I've observed is you see other people's personalities change and they grow sullen and loner-esque. And if you talk to them, they're still obviously the same person. But where the problem is like if you just observe them, you noticed that they're not as social as they used to be. They don't seem as happy overall as they used to be. And in general, if you didn't know better, you would think, oh, that person's depressed now. That is very much a sign of a toxic workplace. It's a sign that there are probably weird mind games being played. And it's funny because even as I say that, I think, wow, that sounds paranoid. But that's actually the better explanation than this person has just grown inexplicably depressed, but one-on-one they're fine, and outside of work they seem to be fine. It's work that is causing them this kind of personality change. They're just trying to get through it, even though technically maybe nothing has changed. So watch out for that one. You might not notice it in yourself. Actually, you might notice that in yourself. I noticed it in myself, but it was confirmed when I noticed it in a handful of other people who really seemed to be not the person I met when I started. A little bit of the spark was gone. The third sign, and this runs along with it, is do you understand how to move up in the environment that you're working in? Are you able to articulate what it takes to move up? If you are not, and it seems all very mystical, happenstance, or worse, favoritism, red flag. Toxic workplaces in general get the way that they are because there are individuals there who have these very subtle forms of reward and punishment. They cannot enact those systems of reward and punishment if it's clear how one moves up. Because if it's clear, then you can make a case, and you can make a case to other people. So they thrive on ambiguity and vibe. It also means that no one has to justify any decision that they've made, because it can be made on the vibe. It can be made on, you know, he's just been really going for it. And it doesn't matter what going means in that thing or what the it is. And we're going to throw a bonus clip in here. Does your workplace seem to have a case of shiny object syndrome in terms of how new employees are treated and what kind of projects they get? So an example of this would be when a big cool project comes along, does it seem to be going to brand new people instead of people who have put in work, learned from mistakes, shown loyalty, basically developed and got better over time? Now, on the surface, it might seem reasonable to give the occasional great project to a new employee, kind of show them like, this place is awesome, and we give new people opportunities. And in a healthy environment, that might be the case. But the reason that I look at it as an indicator of a toxic environment is that it's doing a couple of things. Rewarding new people in that kind of environment is very often because the new person hasn't had a chance yet to disappoint whatever narcissists you have in the environment that are making the place toxic. So you reward the new person because they haven't disappointed you yet. If it's only new people getting the good projects, then you know that everyone on staff, the vets, have disappointed someone, and they're getting that kind of punishment happening. When you're only rewarding the new people, it's because they haven't disappointed you yet, and the people on staff have disappointed you. And the problem with these toxic workplaces is no one knows how they disappointed anyone, because it could have been as simple as an innocuous comment during a meeting. The other thing it does by rewarding someone who hasn't done anything yet to deserve a reward is it sends a message to maybe other people that think things are going really well that their standing is in flux. And earlier I talked about ambiguity, right? And it's unclear how you move up. It's unclear what kind of standing you're in. So you're kind of spying on people. And you might think you're in good standing, but when someone shows up on their second day and they get a project that seems way out of what their experience justifies, that's not somebody being like, oh, super cool. That's a person wanting to seem super cool by giving it to the new person and telling everybody else, you're replaceable. Hopefully, you're not seeing all of these, but I worked at a place where I saw all of these and more egregious and worse. So the big message is, if you feel like something is messed up, it might very well be messed up. So look for those signs and leave a comment if there's something else you want some clarification on.